Peter Parker swings through New York at night, cutting between lights and glass, feeling the last year still sitting heavy in his chest. In a quiet campus lab at ESU, he pulls off his mask and works on a small metal band wired to a glowing core on his wrist, a dimensional stabilizer meant to seal the cracks the multiverse left behind. The device starts to shriek as a new spike appears over Brooklyn, more violent than anything since the last crisis. Peter's gut says if he jumps in and stabilizes from the other side, he can stop this one for good. He hits the override, the air rips open in a circle of white-blue light, and his web line snaps tight as he is dragged screaming into a storm of colors and tearing sound. He falls out of the light into open sky. Cold wind slams his face. The web shooters on his wrist flash error symbols as his stabilizer band spits sparks. The portal snaps shut above him like a lid. Below him is not New York. A bright city stretches in every direction, clean towers of glass and steel, but wrong in a dozen small ways. Streets are wider. The skyline is different. A tall globe with the words Daily Planet spins over a building. Giant screens on walls show news feeds he has never seen. Peter drops fast. His stomach jumps. "Okay, new world," he mutters. "Not dead yet." A sudden roar cuts through the wind. A LexCorp satellite on a high orbit explodes in the upper sky, its pieces burning as they drop toward the city. One part is huge, a glowing slab of metal tumbling toward a crowded avenue. Peter fires a web. The line sticks to the falling debris, but the weight yanks him down even faster. His spider sense screams. He twists, fires a second web at a tower, and becomes a living pulley between building and wreckage. The street rushes up. Cars slam on brakes. People scream and scatter. Peter grits his teeth. Come on, come on. A blue and red blur slams into the scene from above. Superman grabs the other end of the debris, muscles tight, cape snapping. The shock almost rips Peter's arms out, but the weight stops. Together, Webb and Kryptonian strength slow the fall. They lower the broken satellite piece into an empty stretch of street, crushing only a row of parked cars. Peter drops to a light pole, legs shaking. His hands throb. His spider sense fades to a low buzz. He looks up. Superman stands on the cracked metal, dust around him, cape moving in the hot air. His eyes glow faintly as he checks for more threats. "Everyone clear," Superman calls, voice carrying over the sirens. People stare and cheer. Phones rise. News drones buzz closer. Peter blinks behind his mask. "Okay, that's not Iron Man." Superman turns. His gaze locks on Peter. They hang there, one on twisted metal, one on a lamppost covered in web, in the middle of Metropolis. Codex note: Spider-Man's web shooters use synthetic web fluid that hardens on air contact and can hold several tons when anchored correctly. Peter raises both, hands, palms open. "Hi," he says. "Big fan. Big, very big fan." Superman's eyes narrow. He uses his X-ray vision by reflex, but it hits something strange. The energy around Peter's band and web shooters twist the view into static. "I can't see through your gear," Superman says. "Who are you?" "Name's Spider-Man," Peter says. "Friendly neighborhood, totally lost." The air hums. A second blast in the far sky. More debris, smaller this time, but spread out. It breaks into a rain of burning fragments heading for different blocks. Superman looks up. "Talk later," he says. He takes off into the sky, a sonic boom in his wake. Peter's spider sense flares again. He spots a chunk of metal spinning toward a glass bridge between two towers, full of people frozen in fear. He fires a web at the nearest building and swings. Metropolis has different wind patterns, different angles. His first swing feels wrong, arc too long, and he slams into the side of a digital billboard, grunting. He rebounds, sets a second line, and now the rhythm returns. He shoots across the gap, plants both feet on the bridge, and fires 3 thick web lines into the air. The chunk of metal hits the web net. It stretches, strains, and then holds, swinging like a heavy sack. Shattered glass rains onto the empty street below instead of onto the crowd above. People on the bridge stare at him. One kid in a Superman shirt whispers, "Who is that?" "I'm new," Peter says. "We're workshopping the name." He snaps another line, swings off, and heads for the next threat. All over Metropolis, panic spreads. Sirens wail. News anchors shout. The words, "Metropolis under attack," flash across screens. Up high, a sleek jet shaped like a black eagle tears through the clouds. Batman flies the Batwing toward the falling debris streaks. Wonder Woman rides the air beside him, braces ready, lasso at her hip. The Flash is a red streak on the streets below, clearing people out of danger zones. Green Lantern. Hal Jordan draws a giant green scoop construct in the sky to catch a scatter of smaller fragments. Source. Batman's voice is hard over the comm. Detonation at a LegCorp satellite, Cyborg says from the watchtower. No warning, energy signature is wrong, and we have a wildcard in the city. Wildcard? Wonder Woman asks. Cyborg sends an image. Spider-Man, masked, perched on the bridge surrounded by webbing. He arrives seconds before the first piece is hit, Cyborg says. His tech is beyond anything on file, moving like a speedster on wires. Meta? Hal asks. Maybe, Cyborg says. Maybe more. Bruce Wayne's jaw tightens behind the cowl. He zooms the feed, notices the small band on Peter's wrist, spitting tiny sparks. Keep an eye on him, Batman says. We don't know if this is attack or cover. On the ground, Peter keeps moving. He catches a falling bus with web lines anchored to 3 buildings, his arms screaming as the weight drags him toward the edge. He plants his feet, slides, and leaves twin tracks on the pavement as he slows it. People inside clutch the seats and shout. When the bus finally stops, he climbs up to the windshield and taps on it. Everyone okay? He asks. A woman nods, eyes wide. Who are you? Spider-Man. Visiting, he says. Please stay seated until the superhero in blue cleans up the sky. A shadow crosses the glass. He looks up to see Wonder Woman landing in the street, shield on her arm, eyes calm but sharp. She looks from the webbed bus to Peter. You saved them, she says. Peter shrugs, breathless. Team effort. Gravity did most of the work. You're Wonder Woman, right? This is wild. You're not from here, she says. It is not a question. His spider sense twinges, not in warning, but in a strange, stretched way. The stabilizer band on his wrist glows hotter. He winces and hides it behind his other arm. I'm a little lost, Peter says. There was a portal. There was screaming. Some of it might have been me. Her gaze drops to the band. That device hurt you. It's fine, he lies. Just multiverse jet lag. The ground shakes under their feet. A larger blast hits beyond the outskirts of the city. The shockwave rattles windows. Dark smoke rises in the far distance. Cyborg's voice cuts in on the Justice League channel. New impact, outside Metropolis, same signature, but there's data in it. I'm reading a code pattern. Something like... His voice crackles. Batman's eyes narrow as he steers the Batwing toward the new plume. Like what, Victor? There is a pause. Then, like Brainiac, but wrong, mixed with something else. Superman lands on a rooftop near Peter and Wonder Woman. His hair is a bit out of place from the strain. dust on his suit, but he looks steady. "The big pieces are down," he says. "Hal is catching the rest. No major loss of life as far as we can tell." He turns to Peter. "You're strong," Superman says. "Your reflexes are beyond human. You knew where the debris would fall before anyone saw it." "Spider sense," Peter says. "Tingle in the brain. Comes in handy. Also good for dodging flying math tests." "Math tests?" The Flash arrives in a red blur and stops beside them, grinning even as he catches his breath. "Hey, I like this guy already." "Focus, Barry," Batman says over the comm. The Batwing hovers near the roof, engines humming. A hatch opens. Batman steps out onto the wing, cloak snapping in the wind. His eyes take in every detail of Peter's suit, stance, webbing pattern, and the way he seems to favor one wrist. "Spider-Man," Batman says, "you appear in Metropolis seconds before an attack with a Brainiac-like signature. You carry unknown tech that even Superman can't see through. Explain." Peter feels the weight of every gaze on him. "It is not like the crowds in New York. These people can throw cars and catch planes. They can also crush him if they decide he is a threat." He takes a breath. "My name is Peter Parker," he says. "I'm from another Earth, different universe. I was trying to stop a tear over my city. I made a device to stabilize it. It pulled me through instead." "Another Earth," Wonder Woman repeats softly. Cyborg's voice comes in. He's telling the truth. At least the device is. It's bending space-time like nothing on file. And that energy at the impact site, it's sinking to the band on his wrist. "What does that mean?" Hal asks. "It means whoever did this just got a sample of his universe," Cyborg says, "and they're using it." They move fast. In minutes, the League brings Peter to the Watchtower, the Justice League station in orbit above Earth. The teleport beam feels like a punch of cold air and static. He steps out into a clean, bright hall with huge windows showing the curve of the planet below. Stars burn in the black beyond. "Whoa," he says. "Avengers are going to be so jealous if I ever see them again." "Avengers?" the Flash asks. "Long story," Peter says. Batman walks ahead, cape moving behind him. Superman and Wonder Woman flank Peter. Hal and the Flash follow. Cyborg waits near a console, his metal frame wired into the ship. "We'll debrief later," Batman says. "Right now, we need to know why a Brainiac-adjacent signal piggybacked on your arrival." Peter looks at the planet through the window. It is Earth, but the land shapes are wrong here and there. There is a shade of color different from the maps he knows. His stomach twists. "I didn't mean to bring anything with me," he says. "Just me, some web fluid, and a bunch of bad life choices." "Brainiac collects worlds," Superman says. His voice is steady but tight. "He shrinks cities, steals their knowledge, and destroys what is left. We stopped him before. If he has found a way to tap into another universe." "Then he has new code," Cyborg says. "New rules. He can rewrite his patterns. Adapt." Peter rubs his wrist where the band has cooled but left a faint burn. "So you're saying the multiverse didn't just toss me," he says. "I got hacked." "That is one word for it," Cyborg says. Alarms flash on the main screen. A map of Metropolis and the surrounding area appears. Several points glow with pulsing icons. "Impact sites," Cyborg says. "Drones are emerging from the wreckage. They're small, fast, and they're scanning." Superman steps forward. "Then we go back." "We go back," Batman says. "But we don't rush blind. We have an unknown in the field. 2 unknowns, counting Spider-Man's gear." He looks at Peter. "You come with us," Batman says. "You will not act alone. You follow orders. Understood?" Peter wants to joke. It is his reflex when scared. But the view of that Earth, this strange not New York in the corner of the screen, and the memory of Brainiac's name cut the humor out of him. "Understood," he says. Superman nods once. "Let's move." They deploy. The Batwing, a League shuttle, and Green Lantern's constructs all streak down toward Metropolis. From a distance, the city looks calm, but small points of light move in the streets. As they descend, Peter sees them. Sleek silver drones, each the size of a large dog, glide over sidewalks and between cars. They project thin beams of green light that sweep walls, faces, devices. They ignore screaming people. They ignore police. They only care about data. One turns toward Peter in midair. His spider sense flares hot. He yanks his head back as a beam fires where his face was. The shot punches a hole clean through a street lamp. Metal melts. "Yeah, okay, they care about me," Peter says. The League hits the ground in a wave. Superman smashes through a cluster of drones, metal flying. Wonder Woman cuts one in half with a clean swing of her sword. The Flash blitzes between them, stealing power cells and piling broken parts in neat stacks. Hal Jordan creates a green wall that absorbs a barrage from several drones at once. Peter swings in low. He lands on a drone's back, fires webbing over its sensors, and yanks out a glowing core with a sharp twist. The core pulses in his hand. For a flash, he sees something that is not Metropolis, a dark city with purple sky, his own New York twisted and flickering. His head throbs. He squeezes. The core shatters. "Guys," he says, "they're not just scanning. They're looking through me, at my world." "Then shut them down," Batman says over the comm. His voice is clipped. He is using a grapnel to swing between rooftops, dropping EMP pellets on drone clusters. "I can't hit them all," Peter says, "but I can tag them." He fires web lines with small metal nodes attached. Each node is a simple tracer. He sticks them on a dozen drones as he flips and rolls through fire. Cyborg locks in on the tracers from the watchtower. "I see them," Cyborg says. "They're sending data somewhere, backtracking the signal now." A huge holographic map of near-Earth space appears in his view. A single dark spot blinks behind the moon. He swallows. "Guys," Cyborg says, "we have a bigger problem." Superman punches his last drone into the ground and looks up toward the sky. On the edge of space, a gigantic ship fades into view, segments glowing with cold green light. It looks like a skull wrapped in metal cables and city-sized plates. "Brainiac," Superman says. But the energy around the ship is not just green. There are thin lines of blue and red, like Peter's portal, woven into the hull. "And something else," Superman adds. Peter stops on a rooftop and stares. The ship is big enough to dwarf the watchtower. His spider sense is a constant ache. He whispers, "What did I drag in with? Me." Up to now, Peter has crashed into the DC universe, helped stop a LexCorp satellite disaster, met the Justice League, and seen Brainiac's drones scan both his body and his home reality. Brainiac's ship now hangs in space, wrapped in stolen multiverse code, and everyone is looking at Spider-Man as both hope and threat. The League gathers in the Watchtower's main hall again. Holograms of cities flicker in the air, each a past victim of Brainiac's collection. Bottled cities, dead worlds, data prisons. Peter's stomach twists as he looks at them. Tiny lights blink inside some of the holograms, like trapped stars. "This is what Brainiac does," Superman says to Peter. "He studies worlds, learns their systems, and then takes them. He believes he is preserving them. He is not. He thinks he's archiving the universe, Cyborg adds. He's just killing it slower. Cool, Peter says softly. So I brought the galaxy's worst librarian a new set of books. You did not bring him, Wonder Woman says. He reached for your world as you reached for ours. Responsibility is shared. Batman says nothing. He is looking at the stabilizer band with a small device. The band is fused to your suit now, Batman says. It's drawing from your body's bioelectric field. If we rip it off without a plan, we could tear you apart or open another breach. Peter lifts his arm. The band's glow has faded to a faint pulse. It looks harmless. It does not feel harmless. I was trying to fix my world, he says, not offer it up as a sample pack. Intent matters, Wonder Woman says. But so do results. Hal leans against the console, arms crossed. So what's the play? Hal asks. We can't let Brainiac finish whatever patch he's downloading, and we can't just throw Bug Boy back through a portal if that wrecks 2 universes. Hey, in my world, that nickname is taken, Peter says, and kind of rude. The Flash gives him a small grin. I like this guy, Barry says again. But Hal's right. We need a plan. Target is the ship, Batman says. We find a way to disrupt the new code. If Brainiac is using Spider-Man's universe as a template, we corrupt the sample. We make it useless to him. Cyborg rubs his chin. I can try to piggyback on the tracer nodes, Cyborg says. Force a feedback loop, but I'll need a direct line, a physical plug. You mean someone has to go on board, Superman says. Several someones, Batman says. Brainiac knows us. He will have counters, but he has never faced Spider-Man. Peter shifts his weight. So I'm your wild card, he says. Again. You are a variable he has not modeled, Batman says. Yet. Peter looks at the hologram of the ship. He thinks of Aunt May, of his New York, of every time he has tried to fix something and made it worse, but kept trying anyway. Okay, he says. Let's crash. His library. They outline a mission. The core goal is simple. Reach Brainiac's data heart, the central node where the new multiverse code is being tested. Plug in Cyborg's countercode through the stabilizer band, which is tuned to Peter's universe. Force a feedback loop that corrupts the sample and locks Brainiac out. The risks are not simple. Brainiac will defend the node with everything he has, Cyborg says. Security drones, force fields, logic bombs, and he has had time to study our patterns. Last time, we barely won. He will also study Peter, Wonder Woman says. During the fight. Peter nods. He's already poking around in my head, Peter says. Those drones weren't just scanning this Earth. They were looking at my memories, my connections. Batman brings up an image of the drones and highlights the core Peter crushed. These cores were quantum keys, Batman says. They link space and information across realities. When you broke one, you cause feedback in both. So if I mess up inside the ship, Peter says, I might not just break this Earth. I could tear holes in mine too. Possible, Batman says. Peter blows out a breath. Great, no pressure. They divide roles. Superman will draw heavy fire and punch through outer hull defenses. Wonder Woman will clear inner corridors and protect the team with shield and lasso. The Flash will handle timing, moving between points to redirect attacks and hit controls. Green Lantern will provide cover and carry parts of the team through hard vacuum if needed. Batman will coordinate and deal with tech traps. Cyborg will stay linked from the watchtower, feeding data and countercode. Spider-Man will carry the stabilizer band and be the plug. Once you reach the node, Cyborg says, I'll send the code. You will feel a lot. Your spider sense will go off the scale. You have to stay connected until the upload completes. How long? Peter asks. Too long, Cyborg admits. But we will keep you alive. Comforting, Peter says. Batman turns. Understand this, Batman says. If the choice comes down to you or this Earth, we save the Earth. Peter meets his eyes. They are hard, but not cruel, just clear. Same rule on my world, Peter says. I get it. Wonder Woman touches his shoulder. We will try to save both, she says, but we speak truth in this hall. Peter nods. I know what I signed up for when a spider bit me, he says. Okay, let's punch the space skull. They do not launch yet. First, the world reacts. News channels buzz with footage of Spider-Man fighting alongside Superman in Metropolis. Opinion panels argue. Some pundits say a new hero is a good thing. If he can help stop Brainiac, let him, one woman says. Others ask if an alien from another universe can be trusted. We don't know his laws, his past, his enemies, an older man says. Are we inviting a war we can't even imagine? Government leaders call the League. Amanda Waller appears on a secure screen, eyes cold. You brought an unknown into orbit over my planet, she says. From another universe. Brainiac attacks at the same moment. Tell me again why I should not move to shut you down. The attack started before we even knew he was here, Superman says. Spider-Man has saved lives already. Intent is lovely, Waller says. But threat is math. He is a vector for a type of danger we do not understand. I want him in a cell, or sent back where he came from. We don't have a safe path back for him yet, Batman says, and we may need his link to stop Brainiac's upgrade. So you admit he is part of the problem, Waller says, and you want to use him as a weapon anyway. That sounds like something Brainiac would say. Peter stands off to the side, listening. He feels like a bug pinned on a card. He steps forward. With all due respect, ma'am, he says, I didn't choose to be a portal. I chose to jump into one to stop a crisis. That's what I do. I screw up. I try again, and I try to make it right. Waller studies him. You're young, she says. You talk like you think you're older. That can be dangerous. I have buried people, Peter says softly. That ages you. Silence hangs for a moment. Fine, Waller says at last. You run your op, but understand this. If Spider-Man becomes a bigger threat than Brainiac, I will act, with or without your consent. The screen goes dark. Peter exhales. Well, he says, that's one fan I'm not getting. Later, in a quiet corner of the watchtower, Peter sits with Superman. Earth turns slowly below them. Clouds drift. You okay? Clark asks. Peter shrugs. I've had better first days in new universes, he says. I get why she's mad. I'd be mad too. I am mad, honestly. At me. At physics. Clark smiles a little. When I first came here from Krypton, I did not land in a boardroom, he says. I landed in a field. A couple found me. They did not know what I was. They chose to see me as a child, not as a weapon. That choice made me who I am. Must be nice, Peter says. My first big father figure threw me out a window. Clark gives him a questioning look. Long story, Peter says, but the pattern holds. Adults see power and want to steer it, or stop it. You chose to jump into the unknown to stop a threat, Clark says. That says something. Not everyone would. I almost destroyed my own universe with magic once, Peter says. This time it's science. I'm very versatile. You are more than your mistakes, Clark says. Peter watches the clouds. Are you sure? He asks. No, Clark says, but I hope so, and I act on that hope. The enemy moves too. On Brainiac's ship, green light pulses through endless metal corridors. Data streams through, cables thicker than buildings. In a dark chamber, Brainiac's core avatar hovers, a humanoid shape made of shifting lines, face cold. He replays footage from the drones, Spider-Man's movements, the way his spider sense makes him jerk before danger comes, the faint outline of another Earth behind his eyes when the core broke. New pattern, Brainiac says to himself. His voice is flat, processed. Non-local sensory warning system. Bioelectric interface with external dimension. Efficient. He sends signals through the ship. Across the hull, plates shift. New nodes form, glowing with a red-blue light that matches the portal that brought Peter. If this entity is a vector to an adjacent universe, Brainiac says, then the entity is valuable. Keep it alive, cause stress, gather more data, adapt countermeasures. His eyes flicker with images of the Justice League. Kryptonian, Amazon, Lantern, Speedster, Human Strategist, he lists. Known variables, previously modeled. New variable will force them to change patterns. He overlays all of them on a grid, Spider-Man at the center. Collect, Brainiac says. Power scaling interlude. Internal Justice League briefing log, compiled by Batman. Subject, Spider-Man, Peter Parker. Physically enhanced human. Strength and agility on par with mid-level metahumans. Unique precognitive spider sense warns of danger seconds before it happens, but is now hyper-triggered by Brainiac's new multiverse fields. Stabilizer band links directly to an alternate Earth's physical laws. Brainiac is using this as an entry point to copy and weaponize foreign code. Possible countermeasures. 1. Remove band and risk ripping Parker apart or opening uncontrolled rifts. 2. Use band as controlled channel to inject corruptive countercode into Brainiac's system, risking Parker's mind and both Earths. 3. Force Parker back through an unstable portal, cutting Brainiac's access but risking total collapse of the adjacent universe. Any option has extreme cost to life, trust, or the structure of reality itself. Brainiac's move changes the map. His ship's energy field expands in thin waves that touch atmosphere and space both. The sky over several cities flickers for a moment, showing faint, ghost images of other places. A red sky New York merges for an instant with blue sky metropolis. People see double street lines, double buildings, then it snaps back. On the ground, civilians scream and stare. Some fall to their knees. In the watchtower, alarms spike. The field is touching the atmosphere, Cyborg says. He's testing merge points. If he keeps this up, he'll start pulling chunks of both realities together. Peter swallows. My spider sense just went from loud to, please make it stop, he says. He's doing this through me, isn't he? In part, Batman says. Your band is his tuning fork. We have to move now, Superman says. His voice is sharp. If he starts bottling cities again. Agreed, Batman says. We launch the operation, now. The choice is made. The world is no longer just reacting to Brainiac. It is reacting to Spider-Man too. Governments argue over him. Brainiac designs traps around him. The Justice League builds a plan that depends on him. And Peter, a kid from Queens with too much weight on his shoulders, steps toward the launch bay, feeling the eyes of two universes on his back. The days that follow do not feel like days. They feel like warnings. Around the world, skies glitch. For 1 second over Gotham, the moon is wrong, a bit too big, with a faint ring. Over Central City, a second set of buildings flickers beside the normal ones, then vanishes. In Metropolis, people see a billboard switch from a local soda ad to a picture of Times Square, then back. Phone videos spread fast. News anchors talk about overlay events. Scientists argue on panels. Priests and skeptics shout at each other. In the watchtower, every screen shows numbers climbing. Brainiac is pushing his field out in waves, Cyborg says. He's testing overlap points, trying to see how far he can pull your world in, Peter, before things break. Peter stands beside him, arms folded tight. My world already breaks a lot, he says. He doesn't have to help. Cyborg looks at him. I know this is hard, he says, but focus. The more we learn now, the more people we save later. An alert blares. A red icon flashes over the Atlantic. New spike, Cyborg says. Stronger than before. Energy beam forming between here and somewhere else. Somewhere else, Batman repeats. Cyborg zooms in. A line of blue-red light rises from the ocean off Metropolis. A matching line appears in empty black space, then paints an outline of buildings, streets, and bridges. Peter's heart stops. That is not empty space. That's my New York, he whispers. That's the East River, the bridge, He's drawing my city in like a ghost. The two beams pulse and then lock. A ring of light forms between them. Brainiac is making a tunnel, Cyborg says, between your Earth and ours. Superman steps closer to the screen. His jaw tightens. What happens if he finishes? Superman asks. Best guess, Cyborg says. He can pull chunks of one reality into the other. Or worse, fuse them. Two different sets of laws, history, and physics in the same space. People will die, Wonder Woman says, or become something they never chose to be. Peter stares at the ghost bridge. Somewhere on the other side, Aunt May might be making tea. MJ might be walking to rehearsal. Ned might be doing homework. All their streets might soon overlap with a city that has never heard of them. He feels sick. What do we do? He asks. We hit the convergence point, Batman says. If that ring stabilizes, we're in deeper trouble. The mission spins up fast. An invisible carrier field from the watchtower drops the league above the beam, high over the water. The air is cold and sharp. Superman hovers at the front, eyes glowing red as he scans. Wonder Woman floats beside him, shield up. Green Lantern wraps himself, and Batman in a construct bubble. The Flash stands inside it, vibrating slightly with nervous energy. Peter hangs upside down from a line attached to the bubble's underside, because some habits die hard. Below them, a tall pillar of light rises from the sea. It is wide at the base, narrow at the top, like a stretched-out diamond. On the surface of the water, machines drift in a tight circle around it, linked by beams of green light. Brainiac drones, but larger than before. Each is the size of a truck, with multiple limbs and rotating sensor clusters. Some limbs crackle with red-blue multiverse energy. On top of the pillar, at the point where it meets the Ghost Bridge to New York, a node hangs in the air. It looks like a spinning metal flower, its petals made of code and crystal. The node is the lock, Batman says over the comm. We break that. We break this tunnel. Threat level, Hal asks. High, Batman says. They adapt to attacks, remember. Brainiac loves his upgrades. Then we improvise, Superman says. He dives. The water below explodes as he slams into the ring of drones. Metal flies, energy beams streak. The machines swarm him like angry wasps, latching on, trying to drain his cells. Wonder Woman drops like a stone and hits the surface shield first, sending a shockwave through the nearest drones. Their beams scatter off her bracers in sparks. Green Lantern sends Batman, Flash, and Peter down in a bright green tube. Remember, Batman says as they fall, we need that node intact long enough for Cyborg to read its pattern. Then we smash it. And don't fall into the angry, glowing universe blender, Peter says. Got it. The tube opens just above one of the bigger drones. The Flash is already moving. He plants a dozen mini explosives on the drone in a blur and then runs across the water, his feet tapping the surface in little bursts. The drone explodes behind him. Peter fires webs at two other drones and slingshots himself between them, kicking one in its optic cluster. He lands on another, rips off a limb, and redirects its beam into the sea. His spider sense screams. Something is off. A new drone rises from the water, different from the rest. Its head is a smooth dome with no eyes. Small antennae pulse on its sides, tuned to something Peter cannot see. It turns toward him. He feels the tingle in his head shift, like someone flicked his nerves. Oh no, he says. They made a spider sense jammer. The drone fires a pulse. Peter's mind blanks. He misses a web shot and drops. The world spins. For a second, he is not sure which way is up. His body feels slow and heavy. He sees the pillar of light below, like a mouth. Wonder Woman slams into him from the side and knocks him away. They hit the surface together and roll. Stay with me, she says. Breathe. His spider sense is still buzzing, but the rhythm is wrong. It flares at things that are not dangerous and stays quiet when a beam cuts the air too close. He is disoriented. Okay, he gasps. Brainiac hacked my anxiety. On your left, the Flash yells. A beam slices where Peter's head was a second ago. He only survives because Diana yanks him out of the way. Up above, Superman rips drones apart, but more come. Hal's constructs are full of holes from beams that punch through like nails. Batman throws EMP batarangs at the special jammer drone, but its shell absorbs the shock. It fires another pulse at Peter. He screams as his mind fills with noise. In the noise, he sees images, his high school, his first suit, Doctor Strange's spell, Aunt May's smile, all twisted by green code. Brainiac is inside his warning system. On the watchtower, Cyborg stares at the readings. He's rewriting the spider sense pathways, Cyborg says, turning them into data channels. Can you block it? Asks John Johns, the Martian manhunter, who has just arrived from a deep scan patrol. His green face is tight with worry. I can try to add noise from this end, Cyborg says. But if I push too hard, I'll cut Peter off from all danger sense, not just Brainiac's. A deeper tone rings through the station. John looks up, eyes glowing. His mind stretches out across space. I feel two minds of one pattern, John says softly. This Earth and Peter's Earth. Brainiac is touching both. The thoughts of billions brush each other without knowing. Cyborg's fingers fly over controls. Whatever you're going to say it fast, he says, because the node is starting some kind of countdown. On the screen, the metal flower spins faster. Cyborg opens a channel to the field. Batman, we are running out of time, he says. I can't get you a full map. You need to hit the node now before the tunnel locks. If we hit it blind, we don't know what breaks, Batman says. Pick your poison, Cyborg says. Batman makes the call. Spider-Man, he says, can you get to the node? Peter is still on the water with Wonder Woman, head ringing. The jammer drone floats nearby, charging another pulse. Not with my usual early warning, Peter says. Everything hurts. Then you ignore it, Batman says. Treat the noise like a storm. Rely on sight, not tingles. Peter closes his eyes for a second. He remembers training with Natasha in another universe. Sometimes, she said, you have to fight when your best move is gone. Then you learn what else you are. He opens his eyes. Okay, he says. Tell me where to go. Wonder Woman points upward. Straight through the core, she says. I will cover you. He nods. He fires a web at the pillar itself. It sticks to light because Brainiac cheats. He pulls, swings upward, and starts running vertically along the side of the beam, every step buzzing his nerves. The jammer drone tracks him. It fires. Wonder Woman hurls her shield. It hits the pulse and deflects it, the blast sliding off in a spray of light. Her arm shakes from the force. The Flash appears on the jammer's back and rips out cables. "Don't mess with my friend's brain," Barry says. The jammer explodes into pieces. Peter reaches the top of the pillar. The node hangs in front of him, spinning fast. Up close, it looks like a cluster of glass petals full of moving numbers. Between them, he sees flashes of two cities, Metropolis, New York. They flicker in and out. Some blocks are both. "Creepy," he mutters. "Peter," Cyborg says over the comm, "this is going to hurt. I'm sending a pulse through your band to sync with the node. Then you smash it. Ready?" "No," Peter says. "Do it." The band on his wrist burns. A line of energy jumps from it to the node. For a moment, his mind is not his. He is in 1,000 rooms. He's in a Metropolis hospital, in a Queens apartment, in Gotham alleys, in a coffee shop in New York where a woman reaches for a cup and freezes as the world flickers, in a school in Smallville where kids see the sky split. Brainiac's voice slithers through the noise. "Two Earths, one archive," Brainiac says. "You are a bridge, Peter Parker. Through you, I learn both. Through you, I choose." Peter yells and slams both hands into the node. The glass petals crack, then shatter. Light spills out in a shockwave that throws him back. The pillar of light stutters. The ghost bridge above them shakes and breaks into pieces. The beam over the Atlantic collapses, sending waves rolling out in all directions. The League crashes into the water or flies clear. From space, the ring of energy flicks off. On the watchtower, readings drop. "He broke it," Cyborg says. "The tunnel collapsed." John frowns. "But the pattern remains," John says. "Brainiac does not need the tunnel. He has his sample." Peter floats on his back in the ocean for a few seconds, suit soaked, mask heavy. His chest rises and falls fast. His spider sense is quiet, too quiet. He pulls off his mask and takes a shaky breath. "I can't feel anything," he whispers. Superman splashes down beside him and holds him up above the waves with one hand. "You're alive," Superman says. "You did it." "I broke my best trick," Peter says. "Does that count as doing it?" Batman stands on a floating drone, cape wet, talking to the watchtower through his comm. Wonder Woman and Hal pull other heroes and debris out of the water. The Flash runs on the waves, checking for survivors of a ship that got too close. Above them, in space, Brainiac's ship glows brighter. On the hull, new plates slide into place. Lines of red-blue code wrap around it like chains. Inside his core chamber, Brainiac processes the loss of the node and the gain of the data. "Physical tunnel collapsed," Brainiac says, "but sample completed. Multiverse pattern acquired. Proceed to next phase." He raises his hand. A new construct appears in the air in front of him. An image of the two Earths, side by side, linked by dozens of thin lines. "Begin convergence event," Brainiac says. Codex note. Convergence burn is a feedback injury caused when a multiverse-tuned device like Peter's stabilizer band is forced into direct conflict with a reality bridge node. It can shock both the nervous system and the universe link itself, disabling powers like spider sense, while deepening the bond between the wearer and the breach. Up to now, the League and Spider-Man have smashed Brainiac's first major convergence node at great cost, breaking a direct tunnel between Metropolis and Peter's New York, but leaving Brainiac holding a full copy of both worlds' patterns. Peter's spider sense is burned out. The band is more deeply fused to him, and Brainiac has started the convergence event that will force both universes into one dangerous choice. The world splits, not in half, but in opinion. On Earth, news shows replay footage of the ocean fight. They circle Peter's image as he clings to Superman's hand in the waves. Some hosts call him a hero. Without Spider-Man, that tunnel might have solidified, one says. We could have lost whole cities. Others call him a living bomb. Every time he uses that band, another says, we see more glitches. He is a walking weakness for Brainiac to exploit. In secret rooms, leaders argue. Amanda Waller watches a screen in a deep bunker. Files on Spider-Man's battles in his own universe scroll by. Footage of him fighting Dr. Octopus, the Green Goblin, Mysterio, and others that Brainiac dug up from the multiverse data. He attracts chaos, a general says. Where he goes, the weird follows. So do children after ice cream trucks, Waller says. That doesn't mean the truck is evil. She taps a folder. But he is a vector, she adds, and vectors are managed. What does that mean? The general asks. It means we prepare a failsafe, Waller says. If the League loses control, we will not. In the Watchtower's medbay, Peter sits on a bed, mask off, bandaged where the stabilizer band melted his skin. John moves a hand over his head. Martian telepathy is gentle but firm. I'm trying to see if your danger sense is truly gone, John says, or just hiding. I liked it better when my powers were from a simple spider bite, Peter says. Now it's all magic, space-time, and cosmic skull ships. He stares at the ceiling. So, he asks. John lowers his hand. It is not gone, John says. But it is changed. Your spider sense now hums at a deeper level. It listens not only for threats to your body, but for threats to the bridge between worlds. So it's got a new job, Peter says, and it quit the old one. It can still warn you of local danger, John says, but the signal is buried in noise. It will take time to learn a new pattern. Time we don't have, Peter says. He swings his legs off the bed and stands. I'll just have to do what normal people do, he says. Look, think, move. Try not to walk into lasers. Wonder Woman stands in the doorway. You are not normal, she says, and that is not an insult. She hands him his mask. The convergence event has started, she says. We need you in the main hall. They gather again. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Cyborg, John, and now Aquaman via HoloLink from Atlantis. Spider-Man stands near the edge of the group, feeling like the new kid in a cross-dimensional homeroom. In the center of the room, a new projection turns slowly. It shows two Earths side by side, wrapped in connecting lines of light. This is Brainiac's convergence map, Cyborg says. He is linking every major city, ley line and power source between our Earth and Peter's. If he completes this, he gets to choose a dominant pattern. In plain language, Batman says, he picks one world to keep real and turns the other into data, or he tries to fuse them into a hybrid. Either way, we lose control. Can we stop it? Aquaman asks. The hologram shows parts of the sea glowing at link points. We cannot stop the event itself, says a new voice behind them. They turn. Dr. Fate floats a few inches above the floor, golden helmet gleaming. His cloak moves in a wind that is not there. I have watched the threads of this convergence, Fate says. Brainiac has bound it to a moment that has already begun. A choice will be forced, but its shape is not fixed. You mean we have to ride the storm, Superman says, not cancel it. Correct, Fate says. The multiverse has rules. Energy cannot be uncrossed once shared at this scale, but it can be guided or twisted or sacrificed. Everyone looks at the projection. So we either lose my Earth, your Earth, or both, Peter says, unless we do some very careful guiding. Fate's empty helmet stares at him. You are the keystone, Fate says. The band on your arm and the mark in your mind connect two sets of laws. Brainiac seeks to use you as a tool. You may also use this link against him, but the price will be heavy. Always is, Peter says. Your ethics matter, Fate continues. Your core code. You must decide what you are willing to burn to keep two worlds alive. Batman clenches his fists. We do not accept a choice between two deaths, Batman says. There is always another way. Not always, Wonder Woman says. But we search for one all the same. The Flash looks between them. Okay, Barry says. So, what's our play? Because Brainiac's ship is not going to sit still forever. We go in, Batman says. For real this time. No more small nodes. We hit the heart. He points at the projection, where the two Earths overlap most. Brainiac's core node sits here, Batman says, in his ship. It is the command center for every convergence link. We've seen it move closer to a fixed point, mid-space between us and Peter's Earth. Cyborg zooms in on the ship's image. New structures have grown on its sides, like tumors made of light. He is building an anchor for both worlds, Cyborg says. Once it locks, the event will rush to a final state. We have one window to rewrite his code before that. Hal snorts. So, crazy suicide mission in a skull ship, Hal says. You know, I had plans this week. Batman ignores him. Team selection stays similar, Batman says. Superman to clear exterior guns. Wonder Woman and Hal to handle heavy defense. Flash to run interference for traps. I'll deal with logic bombs and physical locks. Cyborg will guide from the watchtower, ready to send countercode. John backs him up on the psychic front. And me? Peter asks. Batman meets his eyes. You stay at the center, Batman says. You let Cyborg use the band to inject a virus into Brainiac's convergence program. You hold that connection as long as you can. If it works, Brainiac's map turns to noise. The event still happens, but without his control. And if it fails, Peter asks. Then Brainiac keeps control, Batman says. And he decides which world lives. Silence hangs in the room. Any other options? Aquaman asks. I have one, says another voice on a side screen. Lex Luthor appears in a crisp suit, the LexCorp logo behind him. Everyone tenses. What are you doing here, Lex? Superman asks. Offering survival, Lex said. For a fee. Lex explains his pitch. He's been studying Brainiac since the last invasion. He has built his own copy of part of Brainiac's code, hidden in a black box deep under Metropolis. With my system, Lex says, we can catch the convergence wave as it passes, redirect some of the pressure, take some of the energy for ourselves. You want to steal power while we're trying to keep two worlds from burning, Wonder Woman says. Her voice is calm but sharp. I want to give us leverage, Lex says. If Brainiac tries to collapse Peter's world, we push back with the stolen energy. Force him to pick a different path, perhaps a shared one, or at least we get to choose what gets archived. You mean you will get to choose, Batman says. Lex smiles. I do have strong opinions about which cities deserve to live, he says, but we can put it to a vote. Not happening, Superman says. Peter watches Lex. There is something in his eyes that Peter has seen before in men like Norman Osborn. Hunger mixed with fear. Even if we used your box, Peter says, you'd be another Brainiac with a smaller ship. Lex looks at him. You brought this storm to our door, boy, Lex says. Do not lecture me on tools. Waller's face appears in another corner of the screen. I am not in the habit of trusting Lex Luthor, Waller says. But his box exists. I've seen it. If the League fails, it may be my only card. Superman frowns. When were you near his black box? Superman asks. When I gave him clearance to build it, Waller says. Under watch, under limits. Batman turns his head slowly. You both built a Brainiac backup plan, he says, in secret. We planned for a day when you might not be enough, Waller says. That day is here. Peter feels the room tilt. So there's a brain jar in the basement that can rewrite parts of this event, he says. And it's in the hands of a guy who sees people as market shares. That brain jar may buy us time, Waller says, and it may buy us a path where your Earth does not die. Remember that, Parker. Peter swallows. Every plan comes with a trade. He looks at Superman, who stands like a wall of hope. At Batman, who always has another layer of logic. At Wonder Woman, whose eyes hold truth and war both. At the Flash, who makes jokes because fear is heavy. At Hal, who carries his fear in willpower. At Cyborg and John, balance between machine and mind, alien and human. He feels very small. Okay, Peter says. We go with the League plan. We try to break Brainiac's map. Waller and Lex can play with their scary box if we fail. But I'm not helping them flip that switch unless there's no other choice. Agreed, Superman says. Batman nods once. It's settled, Batman says. We launch in 1 hour. The hour is not long. In the launch bay, the League shuttle waits, a sleek silver dart. Green Lantern wraps it in a thin bubble as extra armor. A second, smaller pod stands ready for Aquaman if the Sea Kingdom needs direct action later. Peter pulls on his mask again, fingers pausing at the edges. It feels heavier now. The band on his wrist hums like a quiet engine. The Flash zips in and out of the bay, bringing gear, snacks, and who knows what. Got you some energy bars, Barry says, dropping a small packet into Peter's hand. Space fights make you hungry. Peter stares at the bar. Do these have peanuts? He asks. Barry blinks. I have no idea, Barry says. If you die from an allergy in a multiverse war, I'll never forgive myself. Give me that. He snatches it back and runs off to check, or maybe to find a label. Peter lets out a breath he did not know he was holding. Wonder Woman walks over, adjusting the straps on her shield. You stand in the center of this plan, she says. That is a hard place for anyone, harder for someone your age. How old do you think I am? Peter asks. She tilts her head. In your eyes, she says. I see someone who has seen more than 40 years of war. In your voice, I hear someone who still worries about homework. Peter laughs once, bitter and fond at the same time. That's about right, he says. She puts a hand on his shoulder. I have fought many wars, she says. The worst ones are not between armies. They are inside a person's heart, between guilt and duty. Do not let guilt lead. Let love lead. Love for both worlds. Let that guide your choice when the time comes. What if love says save everyone, and math says you can't? Peter asks. Then you choose where your hand reaches, she says, and you live with that choice. But you never pretend that some lives do not matter just to make it easier. He nods. Thanks, he says. I'll try to be a good Keystone. Be a good Peter, she says. That will be enough. Batman checks a small device attached near Peter's band. What's that? Peter asks. A limiter, Batman says. Cyborg and I built it. It will stop the band from spiking past a certain level when you channel the counter code. So it keeps my arm from exploding, Peter says. Great. It keeps your arm from exploding quickly, Batman says. We can't stop all damage, but we can slow it. Peter looks at the tiny blinking light. You know Waller already put a failsafe on me, right? Peter says quietly. Or she will. A kill switch, a cut switch, something. Batman's jaw tightens. I know she is planning something, Batman says. We will deal with that if it triggers. So everyone gets a turn rewiring my wrist, Peter says. Popular limb. Batman puts a hand on his other shoulder, very briefly. You are not a weapon, Batman says. You are a person we are asking too much from. I know what that feels like. I will not forget it. Peter meets his eyes through the lenses. Then don't make me a tool in your head, Peter says, even when you have to use the tool in your hand. Batman nods once. Fair, he says. They board the shuttle. The launch is smooth. Space folds around them in a flash as the watchtower's systems push the shuttle toward Brainiac's ship. The hull hums. The stars stretch. Peter sits strapped in, between Superman and the Flash. Wonder Woman and Batman sit across. Hal is in front, reinforcing the bubble. Cyborg's voice speaks through the comm. Approaching Brainiac's outer field, Cyborg says. Energy levels higher than last time. He knows you're coming. That's kind of his thing, Hal says. Guy loves prep. Superman closes his eyes, then opens them again. Remember, he says, we hit hard and fast, but we don't lose each other. We have a plan. We stick to it unless it stops working. Then we adjust. That's a lot of steps, Barry says. Plan, stick, don't die, adjust. Peter grips his seat. Feels like a normal Tuesday, he says. Outside, Brainiac's ship grows. From a distance, it looked big. Up close, it looks endless. Whole cities could fit inside holes in its hull. Giant cables stretch from its sides, reaching toward invisible points in space where the convergence lines link. Red-blue streaks run along the hull now, like Peter's portal energy frozen in metal. His ship is half our tech and half yours now, Cyborg says. That's not comforting. Comfort is not logical, Brainiac's voice says suddenly over the comm. Everyone tenses. How is he on this channel? Hal asks. His field is everywhere around you, Cyborg says. He's listening. Brainiac's tone does not change. You come to stop convergence, Brainiac says. You will fail. Multiverse collapse is a fact. I offer structure. You offer noise. Peter leans toward the mic. You offer murder dressed up as filing, Peter says. I offer people not dying. I like my odds. Your odds are below 1%, Brainiac says, but your presence increases outcome variety. That interests me. Please survive the first wave. Creepy, Barry mutters. The shuttle hits the outer field. Everything shakes. Outside, green energy from Hal's bubble meets green energy from Brainiac's shields. Sparks fly. A gap opens for a second. Superman unbuckles and moves to the hatch. Ready? He asks. Peter swallows. No, Peter says. Let's go. The hatch blows. Superman shoots out, fist first, slamming into the shield where it is weakest. He pushes, muscles straining, eyes blazing. The shield cracks. Hal roars and shoves the bubble forward with all his will. It becomes a drill that punches through the crack. For a second, they are in raw space. Stars all around, no air, no sound. Peter holds his breath. His suit seals its mouth opening tight. His heart hammers. Then they are inside. The shuttle bursts through a membrane into a huge inner chamber. Gravity slams back. They skid along a metal floor, catch and stop. The door opens. The inside of Brainiac's ship is a nightmare of order. Endless rows of towers rise from the floor, each filled with frozen images of cities. Some are Kryptonian, some alien, some Earth-like. One row holds tiny golden lights that look like stars in jars. It's a collection, Peter says. He really is a hoarder. Stay focused, Batman says. Drones rise from between the towers like wasps from nests. Some are the same as before. Some have new shapes with extra arms and red-blue cores. Flash, Lantern, take the flanks, Batman says. Diana, Clark, clear a path down the main corridor. Peter, stay with me. They move. Superman and Wonder Woman charge forward, smashing and cutting drones apart. Hal creates a series of green shields that catch beams and throw them back. The Flash becomes a blur, tearing parts off drones and tapping control panels. Peter runs beside Batman, webs ready. His spider sense flares at everything, then nothing, then spikes when a drone appears behind them, then stays silent when another drops from above. He cannot trust it. Instead, he watches Batman's shoulders, the way his cape shifts when he adjusts for a batarang throw. He trusts Superman to block big hits. He reads Wonder Woman's line of sight. He treats the team as his new early warning system. A drone lunges from the side. He does not feel it, but he sees the flash of metal in the corner of his eye. He ducks, slides under it, and webs its legs to the floor. Okay, he mutters. Sight sense, that's a thing. They push deeper. Mechanical walls slide behind them, changing the path. Brainiac is rearranging his own hallways to confuse them. Cyborg pings Batman's visor. Take a left after the next junction, Cyborg says. Then down. Brainiac is moving the node as you approach. He thinks like you, Bruce. I think faster, Batman says. At a junction, the twist hits. The floor drops out under them. A whole section of the hall just vanishes, replaced by a swirling tube of red-blue light. Peter's stomach flips. The band on his wrist burns. He sees flashes of Times Square, Gotham rooftops, the Daily Bugle, the Daily Planet, all crossing. Everyone falls. Hal catches Superman, Wonder Woman, and Flash in a construct net. Batman grabs a ledge with his grapnel and swings, but the hook slips on shifting metal. He falls with Peter into the tube. Peter fires a web at Batman's belt and holds on. They whirl. The tube is a live convergence channel. Images flicker around them. Both Earths, dozens of cities, some cut into pieces and swapped. People move in slow frames, unaware. Cyborg, Batman shouts. We're in a live channel. I know, Cyborg says. His voice crackles. Brainiac just rewrote the floor under you. He's trying to send you somewhere else. Maybe onto Peter's Earth. Peter tightens his grip. If I end up home in the middle of this mess, he says, I won't be happy. The band on his wrist flares. He hears Brainiac in his head again. You cannot move between worlds without cost, Brainiac says. But you can help me test fusion points. Peter growls. He aims his free hand at the tube wall and fires a web. The web hits a pattern of code, sticks, and pulls. The tube shudders. Don't you hate it when someone rewrites your code? Peter says. I know a symbiote that would be very offended. He yanks. The tube twists. Instead of throwing them out into random space, it dumps them onto a hard floor in another part of the ship. They hit and roll. Batman lands in a crouch. Peter sprawls and groans. New plan, Batman says. We don't step on anything that looks like a floor. Good plan, Peter says. Can I vote for stairs? They look up. They have landed in a very different chamber. This one is round, with walls covered in moving script. In the center stands a tall figure, made of metal and light with Brainiac's face, as if he built himself a body to talk to guests. Welcome to the core approach, Brainiac says. You bypassed my redirect. Impressive. Peter stands. Oh, wow, Peter says. You're taller up close. Batman drops into a defensive stance. Spread, Batman says quietly. He'll hit hard. Brainiac lifts a hand. Energy lashes out. Batman's armor sparks. Peter is thrown into a wall. His spider sense screams too late. Brainiac steps forward, without hurry. You have seen enough of my collection to know its value, Brainiac says. You know that the multiverse is chaos. Infinite branches, infinite waste. I bring order. I preserve what is useful. You kill people, Peter says, forcing himself up. That's not preservation. That's theft. I preserve their patterns, Brainiac says. Their songs, their thoughts, their structures. Physical form is a weakness. Data is pure. Batman throws a device at the ground. Smoke explodes around them, thick and dark. Brainiac's scanners adjust, but for a second, his view is blocked. Peter uses that second. He runs up the wall, flips, and lands on Brainiac's back. He drives his fist into a glowing node on the spine. Pain jumps up his arm like fire. Brainiac does not fall. He reaches back, grabs Peter by the throat, and hurls him across the room. Peter hits the wall and slides down. Your universe has gifted you with arrogance, Brainiac says. You think because you wear spiders on your chest, you are the center of the web. He looks at his hand, which now glows faintly red-blue where he touched Peter. You are a thread, Brainiac says. Nothing more. He snaps his fingers. The band on Peter's wrist tightens like a hand. He screams as a line of energy rises from it, connecting to the ceiling. Through that line, Brainiac starts pulling. Not Peter's body, Peter's connections. Faces flash in front of Peter's eyes. Aunt May, MJ, Ned, Tony Stark, Strange. Every person he loves, every enemy he has fought. Web lines between them all. Brainiac starts to copy them. Stop, Peter gasps. Get out of them. Use me, not them. Why? Brainiac asks. They define you. I cannot understand the vector without its context. Batman throws a batarang at the line. It passes through like light. Cyborg, Batman barks. Cut the uplink. I'm trying, Cyborg shouts. But every time I block one path, Brainiac opens another. He's using the whole convergence field as a network. Dr. Fate's voice whispers across the comm. Peter Parker, Fate says. You must close your hand. Peter claws at the floor. What does that even mean? He gasps. You are letting him pull everything through an open door, Fate says. Close the door, not with devices, with will. You have done this before with other powers. Focus on one thing you refuse to share. Peter's mind scrambles. Brainiac's line pulls memories like beads on a string. First kisses, last words, fights, jokes. He grabs one memory in his head and holds it tight. A simple one. Aunt May hugging him in a kitchen with old yellow tiles, saying, You're more than what you can do, Peter. He wraps his heart around that moment and refuses to let the energy touch it. No, he says. The line stutters. Brainiac tilts his head. Interesting, Brainiac says. Peter pulls harder inside his own mind, closing doors one by one, slamming them on memories as fast as he can, not by erasing them, but by saying, mine. The line from the band shrinks. It burns his skin, but it shrinks. Brainiac frowns. You resist, Brainiac says. This will damage you. Yeah, Peter says. I know. Still saying no. He yanks his arm down. The line snaps. The backlash blasts him back into the wall. His vision whites out. His chest feels like it is on fire. Brainiac staggers one step. New data, Brainiac says. Keystone strength higher than projected. Convergence focus must be adjusted. He fades. His avatar dissolves into light and vanishes, retreating to the deeper core. Batman runs to Peter and kneels. Stay with me, Batman says. Spider-Man. Peter. Peter's lungs struggle. Present, Peter croaks. Brainiac, hurt like spider exams. That link you broke cost him speed, Batman says. But it cost you too. Peter laughs weakly. I keep losing parts of myself in this place, he says. First my warning system, now my nice calm nerves. Batman helps him stand. We have to move, Batman says. That was not the core, that was a guard room. Your security hallways are ridiculous, Brainiac, Peter mutters. They limp toward a door that opens as they approach. Cyborg's voice comes back, steadier. I saw the spike, Cyborg says. What did you do? I told him to get out of my head, Peter says, the old-fashioned way. Well, whatever you did, his convergence map just glitched for a second, Cyborg says. But he started the main engine during that glitch. We're almost at the point of no return. Status of the others? Batman asks. Superman's team broke through the exterior guns and is heading down, Cyborg says. Hal and Barry are chewing through satellite nodes. You two are closest to the core. You have to reach it before he locks in his pattern. Peter leans on the wall. Good, he says. I was worried this would be easy. Power scaling. Interlude 2. Justice League tactical note, compiled by Cyborg and John. After multiple feedback shocks, Spider-Man's physical stats remain high, but his spider sense is now tuned to broad convergence stress more than personal danger. This makes him better at feeling shifts in the event and worse at dodging a punch. The stabilizer band is fully fused to his nervous system and reality link. Any attempt to remove or destroy it will likely rip open uncontrolled portals or tear Peter apart at the quantum level. Current limits. He can channel only limited amounts of multiverse code before risking permanent nerve damage, psychic collapse, or becoming a fixed anchor that Brainiac or others can exploit. If Spider-Man pushes past these limits in the core, he might gain direct influence over the convergence engine for a brief window, effectively steering how two universes settle. But the probable cost is his own mind, body, or existence as a single being. He could become a living bridge, unable to fully belong to either world. Any choice to push him past his limits must balance the survival of billions against the loss or transformation of one keystone hero. The convergence event begins with a shiver. In Metropolis, the sky ripples. For one long second, there are two suns. One is the normal yellow circle. The other is a pale, cold disk that does not belong here. Buildings double, then snap back, leaving people staring and screaming. In Gotham, two moons hang above the skyline. One is cracked. In Central City, a second set of streets appears on top of the old ones, then fades, leaving cars sitting at strange angles. Streetlights flicker between designs. Far away in Queens, Aunt May looks up from her small kitchen table. The light outside the window goes wrong. For a moment, she sees a tall globe with the words Daily Planet hovering above a place that should be Manhattan. Her radio cuts to static, then back. Peter, she whispers, without knowing why. Her teacup rattles. On both Earths, animals howl. Birds fly in strange patterns. Ocean tides pull in odd ways. Old chalk drawings on sidewalks glow for a moment, then dim. The universe is being asked a question. On Brainiac's ship, in the heart of the metal skull, the answer is being written. Peter and Batman push through a last sliding door and reach the core. They stand on a narrow platform hanging in a vast open chamber. Below and above, empty space stretches, filled with lines of light. Two giant spheres float in the middle of the space, side by side. Two Earths, made of glowing lines. Thin threads run between them. Some threads are bright, some flicker. Some are dark. At the center, where the threads cross, hangs a machine like a spinning ring made of glass and steel. Every spin changes the pattern of threads. Every time it hums, the two Earths shudder. Brainiac's main avatar hovers near the ring, half solid, half code. "You have reached my heart," Brainiac says. "You are late." Batman steps forward, cape pulled in close. "Cyborg," he says, "confirm. This is the core." "In every way that matters," Cyborg says over the comm. "That ring is his convergence engine. If we infect it, we infect the whole event." Peter swallows. The band on his wrist pulses in time with the engine. His arm aches. Behind them, a door opens. Superman, Wonder Woman, the Flash, and Green Lantern enter from another corridor, battered and bruised but standing. Drones swarm behind them. Hal throws up a green wall. The Flash runs along its edge, knocking drones aside like metal toys. Wonder Woman's armor is scratched. Superman's suit is torn, but their eyes are clear. They join Peter and Batman on the platform. Brainiac tilts his head. "You continue to arrive," Brainiac says. "This is good. I wished you to see what I am about to do." "You're about to fail," Superman says. "Again." "That word has little meaning at this scale," Brainiac says. "There will be a new pattern when this is over. The old ones will be archived. Call it loss, call it change. The data does not care." Peter steps closer to the edge, looking down at the glowing Earths. One is familiar in its outline, his Earth. The other has different continents, different seas. Some threads between them are thick, already stable. Others are thin and trembling. "What happens if you lock this in?" Peter asks. Brainiac looks at him. "One Earth becomes prime," Brainiac says. "The other becomes data, or they fuse into a composite that is stronger. My models are not complete, but both results are superior to current chaos." "Superior for who?" Peter asks. "For the archive," Brainiac says. Batman's voice is flat. "When does the final lock happen?" he asks. "In 60 of your seconds," Brainiac says. "The convergence engine has crossed its last threshold. Power from Lex Luthor's auxiliary system has pushed it faster." Everyone turns. "What did you say?" Superman asks. "Lex," Hal repeats. Brainiac casually raises one hand. A projection appears beside the engine. Lex Luthor's face, floating, pale and tense. His image is linked by a line of light to a small dark box at the base of the engine. Lex sees them and tries to look calm. "Ah," Lex says. "You made it to the center. Good. You can watch me save the world." "What did you do?" Superman asks. "I did what none of you would do," Lex says. "I gave Brainiac a controlled power source, my black box. It taps into the convergence field and lets me nudge his choice. I am making sure our Earth survives." He glances at the sphere that marks the DC universe. "You mean this Earth?" Wonder Woman says. "We live here," Lex says. "We have history. I know this world. I will not trade it for another set of strangers and their mess." Peter feels the words hit like a punch. Strangers and their mess. Waller's voice cuts in from another channel. "Luthor's box is live," Waller says. "We hope to use it as leverage, but he tied it straight into the engine. We can't pull it without making things worse." "You gave him access," Batman says. His voice is cold. "I gave Earth a backup," Waller says. "I did not plan for him to share the controls with Brainiac that fast." Brainiac almost sounds amused. "Lex Luthor is efficient," Brainiac says. "He understands that survival is not pretty. He and I differ on what should be kept, but his fear was useful." The ring spins faster. Cyborg's voice is urgent. "We're under 30 seconds, Cyborg says. Once he crosses this mark, the engine sets a path. After that, I can't rewrite it, even with the virus. Peter stares at the two glowing Earths. People on both are going about their lives, not knowing how close they are to being turned into a file. He hears Aunt May's voice in his memory. Uncle Ben, Tony, May again. If you can help and you don't, Aunt May once said, then who are you really? That simple line is his ethic motto. It has carried him through every disaster. If you can help and you don't, then who are you? He knows he can help here. He just does not know if he will still be himself afterward. Dr. Fate's voice echoes in the chamber, not over a comm, but through the air. The final shape will be set soon, Fate says. Brainiac will choose one form. Lex will try to tilt it. Waller will try to cut the link if she panics. None of them care about both worlds. Peter Parker, your choice must. Peter looks at the stabilizer band, at his shaking hand. What choice? He asks quietly. You can let Brainiac choose, Fate says. You can let Lex pull, perhaps saving this Earth while your own burns. Or you can seize the engine through your link and rewrite the rule. What rule? Peter asks. The rule that says only one pattern can stay real, Fate says. You can try to force the event to settle with two separate worlds, both whole, with the bridge between them sealed. It is possible. Barely. And the cost? Batman asks. Fate is silent for a moment. Peter will become the seal for a time, Fate says. He will carry the weight of the convergence in his mind and body as it settles. He may not return to his own Earth. He may not remain only human. Peter laughs once, short. Do I ever get offered a nice, easy choice? He asks. No, Batman says. People like us don't. Superman steps closer. If you choose this, Superman says, you will not choose it alone. We will be with you as long as we can. Wonder Woman nods. We will stand around you as your shield, she says. We will cut away anything that tries to break you. But the decision is yours. Peter looks at the engine. Brainiac speaks, calm. You have nothing on your Earth that does not exist in better form here, Brainiac says. We have heroes. We have cities. We have knowledge. Sacrificing your world would not reduce the universe. Peter shakes his head. You don't understand at all, he says. Every person is a whole universe. You think they're files. They're not. Lex snorts. We do not have time for a sermon from a boy in tights, Lex says. Let the box do its job. Let my Earth live. Waller's voice cuts in, sharp. Spider-Man, Waller says. If you feel Brainiac gaining full control through you, I am prepared to trigger the failsafe on that band. It will kill you. It may cut the link. It may save billions. Know that. Peter feels a small chill. So that's the last choice. Brainiac picks a world. Lex steals a world. Waller kills him if he goes wrong. Or he tries something else. He thinks of Aunt May again. Of MJ and Ned. Of every simple person in both universes who just wants to live, laugh, make small mistakes, love someone and not become data in a jar. His path is clear. I'm not picking one Earth to live and one to die, he says. That's not a choice I can live with, so I'll pick something else. He turns to Cyborg's voice. Vic, he says, send the virus, all of it, through me. Don't hold back. That much code will fry your neurons, Cyborg says. You'll be carrying the data weight of 2 Earths and the hack on top. You could end up stuck. I know, Peter says. Do it anyway. Waller's voice snaps. Parker, stand down, she says. That is not your call. Yes, it is, Peter says. It's my band, my link, my mess. And my rule is simple. If I can help, I have to help. I'm not going to watch one Earth die because it's the easy math. He looks at Superman, at Batman, at Wonder Woman, at his new friends. "I trust you to catch me if I fall," he says, "or at least to visit my weird ghost if I start haunting satellites." "Done," the Flash says. "I'll bring snacks." Hal shakes his head, half sad, half proud. "You're insane," Hal says. "Welcome to the club." Batman's eyes are steady. "I won't let Waller hit that trigger," Batman says. "You have my word." Waller does not answer, but her silence is loud. Cyborg takes a breath. "All right," Cyborg says. "On your mark." Peter steps up to the edge of the platform. The ring hums. With shaking fingers, he fires 2 web lines at it. The web stretches, sticks, and pulls. He hangs there for a moment, a thin red-blue figure between the dark platform and the bright engine. He lifts his banded wrist. "Mark," he says. The world explodes in light. Cyborg sends the counter code like a flood. It roars down the connection into the band. The band grabs it and hurls it into the engine even as the engine pours convergence energy back into Peter. For a second, Peter is only pain. Then he is more. He is standing in the core and falling between worlds at once. He sees both Earths in full color. He sees every thread between them. Magical lines, tech lines, memory lines. He sees Doctor Strange on his Earth paws in his sanctum, feeling the surge. He sees Zatanna on this Earth raise her hands at a magic circle, eyes wide. He feels Waller's finger hover over a red button. He feels Lex's greedy pull through the black box, trying to drag patterns toward his side. He feels Brainiac's cold logic, trying to smooth every rough edge into a neat stack. All of them tug at the map. He is at the center. "Peter," Fate's voice says inside the light, "you cannot think like a god. Think like yourself. What matters to you?" Simple things. Aunt May's hug, MJ's laugh, Ned's snort when he makes a bad joke, a kid in Metropolis on a bridge, staring up at a masked stranger and saying, "Who is that?" A woman on a bus in Gotham holding her child, a fisherman in Atlantis, a farmer in Kansas, a street vendor in Karachi. People. "I want both worlds to keep their people," he says, "their full, messy lives. I want them to have a chance to make their own choices, not be forced into one path by a skull ship or a rich guy." He grabs the convergence map in his mind. He does not have hands here. He has will. He pushes. The virus that Cyborg sent rides his push. It runs through the engine's code like ink in water. It does not just break lines, it marks them. It tells the system, 2 routes, no cutting, no fusing, no bottles. Brainiac roars. "You do not understand the scale," Brainiac says. 2 stable worlds with a locked bridge is an inefficient use of data. "Good thing I'm not a spreadsheet," Peter says. Lex shouts. "You're ruining our only sure shot," Lex says. "You'll leave us at the mercy of chaos again." "No," Peter says. "I'm leaving you at the mercy of yourselves," which sure is scary, but it's real. Waller snarls. "Parker, I will stop you if you start to fail," she says. "Don't make me push this." Batman's voice cuts through the storm. "Amanda," Batman says, "if you trigger that ban while he is holding the map, you will not just kill him. You will tear the convergence in half. Both Earths could shatter. Think." There is a beat of silence. Waller curses, low and sharp. "Do it, Parker," she says. "You have one shot." Peter smiles, even inside the light. "Thank you," he whispers. He pulls harder. The threads between the Earths change. Most of them thin, then snap, not in a violent tear, but like cut strings that curl back into their own spheres. A few stay, but they twist into knots that no simple beam can use. They become hidden paths only something like fate, strange, or the great cosmic rules could ever open again with care. The engine groans, panels crack, Glass shatters. The ring slows. Brainiac's avatar glitches, stuttering. You are forcing the event into an unmodeled outcome, Brainiac says. This is unacceptable. Welcome to life, Peter says. We don't always fit your boxes. He feels his own mind start to fray. He is holding too much. 2 planets worth of noise. Every street, every sky, every heartbeat. His thoughts blur. He clings to one anchor. His name, Peter Parker. His ethic, if you can help and you don't, then who are you? He whispers it again and again. Slowly, the convergence settles. The 2 glowing spheres drift apart just a little, enough to show they are separate. Their colors stabilize. The ring's light dims. Brainiac screams, a sound of broken logic, and drops out of the link, retreating to protect what remains of his ship. The black box at the engine's base overloads. It bursts in a silent flash. Lex's image winks out, replaced with static. On both Earths, the sky clears. In Metropolis, the double sun effect fades. In Gotham, the second moon vanishes. In Queens, Aunt May's teacup stops rattling. The Daily Planet globe she glimpsed in the sky is gone. The convergence event ends, not with one world eaten, but with both worlds' edges hardened and the bridge between them scarred shut. Peter lets go. He falls. Out of the light, down toward the platform. His body hits something soft and hard at the same time. Superman's arms. Clark catches him before he hits the metal. The impact still drives them both to their knees. Peter's mask is cracked. The band on his wrist is blackened and smoking. His eyes are open but unfocused. "Peter," Superman says, "can you hear me?" Peter blinks. The chamber around them is shaking. Parts of Brainiac's ship are breaking away, vanishing into some escape fold. Alarms wail in a dozen tones. Batman stands over them, throwing small devices that stick to walls and slow the collapse. "Cyborg," Batman says. "Status." "The engine is down," Cyborg says. He sounds amazed and exhausted. "Convergence lines are collapsing in the way we wanted. Both Earths are stable and separate. Brainiac's main core is damaged. He's pulling out." "Casualty projections?" Wonder Woman asks. "Lower than anything we modeled," Cyborg says. "Still bad in some areas, but not world-ending." Peter coughs. "My head feels like a Wi-Fi router after finals week," he mutters. The Flash lets out a breath he did not know he was holding. "He's joking," Barry says. "He's fine, mostly." John's voice appears in all their minds from the watchtower. "Spider-Man's mind is changed," John says carefully, "but not broken. He touched the field at a deep level. The link between his Earth and this one is no longer a wide walkway. It is a single, small line, and it runs through him." "What does that mean?" Hal asks. "It means he is now the bridge," John says. "But the gate at each end is locked. He cannot use it to go home without tearing what he just fixed, and others cannot easily use him to cross." Peter closes his eyes. "So I saved both worlds," he says, "and I lost my round-trip ticket." He feels two things at once, a deep grief and a deep relief. He thinks of May, MJ, Ned. They are safe. They may never see him again, but they are safe. He thinks of this Earth, these new allies. They are alive. They will still fight, laugh, argue. They will make mistakes and fix them. He lets out a shaky sigh. "Okay," he says softly. "Okay. I can live with that. Literally, I think." The ship shakes, harder. "Time to exit the collapsing skull," Batman says. "Agreed," Superman says. Hal wraps them all in a green shell. The Flash grabs any stray part they might need. Wonder Woman steps to the front, shield out, ready to punch through anything still in their way. They blast out of the core chamber and fly through a new tunnel that Cyborg maps in real time. Behind them, Brainiac's ship splits. Half of it folds into a shrinking point of light and vanishes, taking Brainiac's core with it somewhere into deep space. The other half breaks apart into dead metal that will drift as junk. The Justice League and their new friend leave the falling skull and streak back toward their distant home. Days later, both worlds still shake from aftershocks. On DC's Earth, some buildings have shifted by inches. Some magic sites feel different. Some tech runs a little odd until it is recalibrated. But the sky is one color. The city's a whole. People remember weird visions, extra moons, double streets. Most do not understand what happened. They go back to work. They tell stories. On Peter's Earth, there were blackouts, strange auroras, a sense of weight in the air that has now passed. News channels talk about solar storms and magnetic events. Some scientists know there was more, but their instruments were confused. In the Sanctum Sanctorum, Doctor Strange stands at a window. He feels the multiverse around his Earth settle like a pool after a thrown stone. He also feels one small line of power that used to run from this Earth to another. It is almost gone. "Peter," he says quietly, "you did something very stupid and very brave, didn't you?" Wong looks up from a book. "Again?" Wong asks. "Again," Strange says. He lifts a hand and could, maybe, try to follow the last faint line. Open the door. Reach for Peter. He sees in his mind the way the convergence nearly broke them all once already. He lowers his hand. "Stay where you are, kid," Strange says. "You have a new world to take care of." In Queens, Aunt May sits on her fire escape with a blanket around her shoulders. The night is calm. The lights of the city are soft. She feels something like a warm breeze on her cheek, but there is no wind. She looks up at the stars. "Wherever you are," she says, "be kind. That's all I ask." A single falling star streaks across the sky. She smiles, wipes a tear and goes back inside. On the watchtower a few weeks later, the Justice League gathers for a quiet meeting. Reports scroll by. Damaged tallies, repaired bridges, calmed seas, magic circles retuned, satellite systems rebuilt. Brainiac is gone for now. His ship's remains are being studied far away. Lex's black box is destroyed, but he is already drawing up plans for something new. Waller has closed the file marked Failsafe Parker and opened another called Keystone Contingency. The universe is still messy, but both Earths are real. Spider-Man stands by the big window, looking down at the DC Earth. He can feel his own Earth faintly now, like a song heard through a wall. It makes his chest ache and glow at the same time. Superman walks up beside him. "You can feel it?" Clark asks. "Yeah," Peter says. Like I know a place exists, but I can't step into it. I can tell where the sun is there. I can tell when it's night, but I can't see faces. I can't hear voices." "I'm sorry," Clark says. Peter shrugs. "I spent a lot of my life feeling like I was between worlds anyway," Peter says. "Between kid and adult. Between normal and hero. Now it's just bigger." He presses his hand to the glass. "I miss them," he says. "But I also know they're alive because of what we did. That helps." Superman nods. "When I first came here, I lost my original world," Clark says. "It died while I slept. I will never go back. Every time I save this one, it hurts and heals at the same time. You will learn to hold both." Peter looks at him. "How do you decide which world you belong to?" he asks. Clark smiles. "I don't," Clark says. I decide who I stand with today. The world answers back over time. Peter thinks about that. I guess today I stand with you guys, he says. Today, Clark says, and probably many days after. Batman appears behind them, as he somehow always does. We have updated your file, Batman says. You are listed as interdimensional resident ally. Peter grins behind his mask. That sounds like the most Batman thing I've ever heard, he says. Can't I just be friend? Batman almost smiles. In my notes, Batman says, you are friend. Wonder Woman joins them. The world of men has a short memory for danger and a long memory for symbols, she says. Already, people tell stories about the day two suns hung in the sky, and a stranger in red and blue helped save them. Children draw you in school. Some spell your name wrong. It will sort itself out. The Flash zooms in, holding a small notebook. By the way, Barry says, we're still trying to name the combined move you pulled in the core. Pushing virus through brainship while holding two planets in your mind. It needs a cool name. Please don't call it the Spidey Special, Peter says. Or if you do, never tell me. Hal leans in from the side. Too late, Hal says. We voted. He opens a page. It says, Protocol, Web of Worlds. Peter stares. That's actually kind of nice, he says. Batman nods. It fits, Batman says, and it reminds us not to use anything like it lightly. They stand there, 5 heroes from one world and one from another, looking down at the planet they share now. It is not his birth Earth, but it is his Earth today. Life moves on. In Metropolis, people sometimes see a shape swinging between buildings that is not a bird or a plane. Kids shout and point. Spider-Man, they yell. Sometimes he stops, hangs upside down from a light pole, signs a program or a backpack, and leaves before parents can decide if he is safe. In Gotham, rumors spread of a strange acrobat in red and blue helping the Bat with mob busts and alien cleanup. Some people say it is a new Robin. Others say it is a demon. Batman never comments. In Central City, the Flash and Spider-Man race for fun along rooftops. Barry always wins if the track is straight. Peter sometimes wins if there are obstacles. In Themyscira, stories reach the island that Diana has brought a boy from another world into their circle. Some Amazons shake their heads. Some are curious. The younger ones imagine what web swinging over their cliffs might feel like. In Hidden Labs, Lex works. He is furious that his box was burned out. But fury is fuel. He looks at fragments of Brainiac code and thinks, if a boy from another universe can hijack this, so can I. He starts new plans. In deep space far from any star, a broken shard of Brainiac's ship drifts. Lights flicker inside. A cold voice whispers about a new approach, about a convergence that does not need big engines, about a slow, patient pull. On the watchtower, Waller appears one last time on a secure channel. She looks at Peter through the screen. You saved my world, she says, and another one. I do not apologize for thinking about what I would have done if you failed, but I will say this, you did not, and I noticed. Does that mean you're a fan now? Peter asks. Do not push your luck, Waller says. It means I'm moving your file from threat to risk. That's the closest you get to a compliment from me. I'll frame it, Peter says. She leans in. Remember something, Parker, she says. You are not from here. This world can turn on you fast. The moment the numbers shift, people will want to blame someone. If that happens, I will be there. Sometimes to stop them, sometimes not. Walk carefully. Her image vanishes. Peter stands there, feeling the weight of both warning and weird respect. He nods to the empty air. I'll walk, he says, and I'll swing. That night, he sits alone on a metropolis rooftop. The city hums below. The giant daily planet globe glows in the distance. Stars shine above. He takes off his mask and lets the wind hit his face. He closes his eyes and listens. He can hear sirens, music, horns, laughter, a baby crying, a dog barking. Somewhere, someone is playing a slow song on a radio. He also feels very faint, the echo of his own New York. It's night there too. People he loves are sleeping, working, living. He cannot touch them, but he knows they are there. He feels stretched between two places and yet firmly in one. He feels like himself. A faint sound reaches him, a scream, not of terror, but of sudden fear, a mugging, a slip, a surprise. His eyes open. His body moves before his mind finishes, deciding. He pulls on his mask, shoots a web, and launches into the night. He swings out into the city that is now his responsibility. He does not know what tomorrow's threats will be. Brainiac will return in some form. Lex will scheme. Waller will plan. His own heart will ache. But right now, someone needs help. And if he can help and does not, then who is he? He flies between towers, small and bright against the huge dark. A kid from Queens in a world of gods and legends, doing what he has always done, trying his best. Codex note: in League records and magical ledgers alike, Spider-Man is now logged as keystone of the web of worlds, a living seal who once steered a convergence to spare 2 Earths, and who, for as long as he swings above DC's cities, carries a faint echo of another universe in every choice he makes.